What's up, everybody? This is Kim the Don here, and I am excited to be back once again with our series First Things First. I'm excited to have on my special guest, Mr. Kevin Franklin. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Kenya. I'm doing great.
I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear. You guys, today we are talking about a very important topic, a very interesting topic, the worthy king, putting the king, having a king mindset. All right, you guys, and I'm really excited to talk about this. So, without further introduction, let's go ahead and get in. Alrighty, you guys. So if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. Share this with your family and friends. Remember, if you share and send stars, stars help us to create more content. All right, you guys. I'm excited once again. Like I said, I have my special guest with me, Mr. Kevin Franklin, and he is with us from the Worthy Kings, and we are going to be talking today about Worthy Kings, the King mindset. So, go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Kevin. I know I kind of, said the name and such, but tell the people who you are, what you do. Um, yeah.
All right. So, those who don't know, I'm Kevin Franklin. I am a fitness, wellness, leadership coach who cater my online process, the Worthy King Protocol, for men, servant leaders who are usually do so much for so many people, overwhelmed, stressed out to the brink that they forget about themselves. So I created my protocol, the Worthy King Protocol, to cater to these men to make sure that they are at their optimal physique, energy, presence. So, and we do this through the notion, as we're going to talk about, of what it means to put the king first.
Yeah, yeah. So uh, let's start with this question. So, what would you say would be the advantages of putting the king first? So,
The advantages of putting the king first
yeah,
is you literally being at your peak performance, your health, your energy, your presence, your I consider it as your faith also. And you putting yourself at your peak to make sure that you are at your optimal best, to make sure that you are serving in a godly manner, not just for yourself, but everybody that is so impacted, so influenced by your influence. So putting the king first not just impacts you, but impacts everybody that actually relies on you the most to make sure that you're at your optimal best, at your peak, to lead by example.
yes,
If we
sir.
lost you, Ken.
Sorry
Okay.
about that. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. But no, yeah, I love that. And like you said, that's when I first joined the program and started things. That's something that I'm not gonna say it was a culture shock. I'm trying to find the correct word, but it's something that really made me sit down and be more aware and just honest and say, okay, am I putting myself first? Am I at my optimal best so that I can therefore help others? So we talked about the king, the advantages, but let's just scoot back just for a second. I do apologize. And what is the king's mentality? Like the king's first mentality? Like people help them get understanding of what that is.
All right. And I love this notion because it's very simplistic. It's pretty much in the name. Is that literally you must be a priority for the sake of those that follow your lead. So the king eats first for the sake of the kingdom. There's literally, you cannot have the word kingdom without the word king. That's your influence, your impact that you have on everything you touch, especially as a leader, as a head, as a man, husband, wife, father, husband, father, whatever you want to like do it. Everything ripples down from us as the leaders. So king eats first means that we have so much influence, so much impact on those so many individuals. I know it because not just to be an example of it, but also a product of it, of being just my father and what he meant to me, and knowing that I wouldn't be who I am to this day without his leadership, his presence, how his physique made me try to be this individual myself as well. So that's the whole notion of the king eats first mentality.
I love that. I love that. So your father played a very huge role in this movement, I would say.
Can you repeat that, Ken? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said your father played a huge role in this for you.
Absolutely. I just share a quick backstory, just real quick, and it's
Of
so
course.
when I mean for my father, it's not just about me, but my father, and came off the whim of just him learning how, wanting to coach me through my high school football team, and he, I was fairly quiet, and he asked me like, would it be okay if I coach your team, your coach with you on the football team? And I didn't think nothing about it. Like, sure, why not? But little did I know that it wasn't just about me, but his him being his presence, his energy was not just teaching me, but he taught years of young gentlemen the forms of sports, but also taught them life lessons for over 15 years that kids still come to him, or former kids came to him now and thank him for the life lessons they taught him. And that taught me how one one man in the right position can teach a multitude of young gentlemen to set the tone, set the example for them, through different means, but they gravitated towards their presence. And that led to them gravitating to the words that he was speaking, because it's not him just talking about it, but also walking it out. It's not just you hearing it, but you can feel it through his presence.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one thing I can definitely say. You're definitely carrying that torch and passing it on, because watching your videos and listen to the content within the group, that it started to ignite me, like, okay, I never thought about these things. And we discussed a little bit about the Superman mentality and things of
Yes.
that. You don't realize that you're slipping into that, or that you're even in the in that mode, um, until you have someone like yourself on the outside saying, hey, look, there's a better way to do this. uh, you know have you considered this?
Absolutely.
Have you considered that? So I really believe that every man should be really putting themselves first, putting the king first, because like you said, if you're at our optimal best, um, what could be the disadvantages? Like when
That's
you
the
sent that
beauty.
in the thing, I'm like, there is none.
That's the beauty of
you
it.
know
That's the beauty of it. And here's the deal with
yeah.
that. A lot of times, society pretty much, as men, we're usually judged by our last accomplishment. It's a accomplished driven world. Um, and a lot of times we don't see our value, our influence, our impact of just prioritizing ourselves. We're used to being the one that's told to bite the bullet, be the self-sacrifice for the sake of others, and we can do that. And we can definitely do that. But what type of state do we want to be? What type of energy and present energy do we want to put ourselves in a state? Because it's not just about us, but our kids are constantly watching us. We set the example.
Yeah.
And it's easy enough to know that we have mentors, people that we looked up to, and we all have those influences in our life that were positive and negative that molded us. So it's not something that hard to look into, because we just got to look into our own childhood and we see the influence of male figures that had in our life, or the lack of male figures, and knowing that what we wanted naturally more of. And the main thing, like you said, is that, or like us, is that there's no disadvantage. If you prioritize yourself, who loses in the long haul?
Yeah, I love that. I really do, because you just said something even interesting when you're talking about your kids and the legacy and such. Like, you don't realize how much they're looking and they're watching and they're looking up to you. until later on, you know. And I happened to be on the light rail with my son a few months ago, and saw one of his teachers, and they're like, "You don't know how much he talks about you. Y'all go fishing, y'all do this, y'all do." And to me, you know, I'm just being me. I'm just living a life, having fun, enjoying my life. And for him, he's just like opened up to a whole new different world. And so I can definitely um, see the benefits and the growth and the importance. It brings such an awareness, and I believe that's what the purpose of this video today is, to bring more awareness about putting yourselves first. Man, it's important that you put yourselves first. It's important. Um, it sounds selfish, but it's so much beneficial in the end for everyone else, you know. So, anything you want to add and roll in with?
I'll add this. I heard this quote just based off of that is sometimes you guys start by being selfish so you can be more selfless. If your cup is empty, you cannot pour into anybody else. It leaves them thirsty and it makes you grow bitter. So if anything, you're pouring bitter water, more or less, if you're not taking care of yourself. And I think last thing I'll cap off is that it's because you said like the kids are always watching. In addition, I'm also a behavior counselor, so I also see the kids are at young ages are natural sponges. You don't know how much they are taking in, not the verbal, but also the visual. They'll model your presence. They are imitating. We learn through visual imitation more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely visualize. So next question: what um, practical ways could people implement this? Because I know there's probably someone out there. We are kind of talking, keeping this very simple, but I just know somebody's out there going to make this overcomplicated, you know, and try to either do too much or do too less about this. So, what are some practical ways people could be, having the king's first mindset and putting the king's first things in place? I kind of have a feeling I what you're gonna say, but
so first, I think it starts with the mindset of really just molding in, and just as we're talking about, actually internalizing what does that mean? What does that look like to you? Like, because we don't want to overcomplicate. If you actually ask yourself that question, because many men are not usually selfish people, but if you actually know, like, what does that look like? They'll be creative in themselves to know. But usually it just starts with just like anything else, dedicate time for yourself. And actually, ideally, first thing, dedicate that time for you. The king eats first, mean that you need to be at yourself, conquer yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, physically. Make sure you're at your prime state so you can go on and conquer the day. You guys conquer yourself before you conquer the day. So you need to dedicate that block of time for yourself, whether it's from a reading. In my case, I'm a fitness coach, so it's fitness, be at your best state. And then if you do that on a daily basis and be intentional about that, that itself makes a shift, because it's not just you're losing yourself. You have that dedicated time for yourself that's always going to come back each and every day, as it should be.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the secret sauce, because we kind of be talking about it a little bit, alluded to it a little. But this is something for me. I think I call it the secret sauce.
Okay, let's hear about it.
But I've seen this in your teachings, and I've seen this in your processes. You can't really. I mean, and this is why I wanted to talk with you too, because it aligns with Young Money Moguls, all things God, business, and family. You can't have one without the other. And so when you're doing fitness, I love how you also implemented the spiritual walk in it as well, because we don't realize how connected these things are. So, talk to the people a little bit about that. Help them realize how much of connectivity there is with.
So one of the biggest realized for my sustainability and my that I had to switch my mindset of how I thought about fitness. And a lot of times we think of it as something selfish that cannot benefit nobody but ourselves. So we do it for vanity reasons. So for me, I had to make fitness bigger than me. So not just talk about, we think in kingdom mindset. So kingdom does not just mean everything that remains you, but that's also our heavenly Father as well. Make it bigger than us. Make it a heavenly, make it something that is kingdom mindset driven. Because the fact that it is, we're called to make sure that we discipline our body and make it our slave. So when we preach to others, that we do not become hypocrites and disqualify ourselves. Romans 12:2 says, make sure our bodies living, no, 12:1 makes our body a living sacrifice pleasing, which is our form of spiritual worship. So one thing that makes me validate this constantly is that I relate this to biblical scripture. And even looking unto Jesus is that one of my favorite verses, Mark 1:25, early in the morning when it was dark, Jesus went to a desolated place to pray himself. He did King Eats first. He put himself first. He removed himself multiple times to have that time for himself on a daily basis to pray, worship, put him in his state of mind before he went on. There we go. Went on and did his miracles, preached to the masses. So the best thing that I relate this to is that it becomes part of my spirituality. It's my body is part of my physical health. This is my form of worship, my form of sacrifice. This is how I lead by example, how I preach to others, not by just being hearers of the words only, but being doers of the word as well. Putting faith into action.
Yeah. I love it. Listen, like I said, that's something that's really radicalized and changed my mindset, especially when it comes to working out, physical training, and discipline, and all of that. Just it gives it a different perspective. It gives it a more sobering perspective.
Yes.
Something that just helps you to see the seriousness of it, and how, like I said, it all connects. And that's what I really love about the King's mentality, like the King's first mindset. You think you're being selfish, but you're not. You're actually, like you said, being selfless, and you're putting yourself at a position to be the best in every way for everyone. So I really love this. I really, like I said, wanted to come on and just make this as a clarion call for all people. Like, hey, not all people, but all men, to come on and like, look, you guys need to be putting yourselves first. You guys need to be, disciplining and setting that block. Ever since I've set that 8 to 9,
yeah,
I've been reading more. I actually, like I said, try to work out now in that block. So it's very different. Because even now my body I can feel the difference, like from last week and stuff. I'm like, oh Lord, what's going on? Like, like I can feel the difference. So, your body starts to get adjusted to it, and it just overall sleep. I don't know. For me, it's been a whole complete turnaround. So, I don't feel like I have any more to say, and I don't want to belabor the time or anything. Is there anything you want to add? Any more things you want to put in?
I'll add this. It's pretty much as you were saying that, and going back to faith, it's more about, I perceive this as our body's a reflection of our faith. So based off the struggle, pressure, stress that our bodies goes through, our body's built to adapt. And God made our body so beautiful and so intricate to take on so much. And if we actually start looking at it in that fashion, instead of focusing on the illness, the lack, the struggle, and knowing that our body's just doing what it's made to do, and we can work that to our advantage, wow, we can thrive as all kings. That's we're all called to be kings.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. So Ben, put yourselves first. Listen, learn how to discipline, learn how to set those blocks, learn how to eat. Lord Jesus, I had to learn that for myself. You don't realize, you just keep going, and then you realize, oh snap, I didn't eat yet. It's 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, learning to eat, and all these. I know as men, I went off on a tangent now. As men, we don't like going to the doctors. We don't like taking care of ourselves in certain ways. So these things are important, though. And as I'm getting older, as I'm growing up, I'm only 29, but as I'm growing up, I'm starting to realize the importance of putting myself first, the importance of making sure that I'm good. So like I said, men, make sure you're eating, make sure you're working out, make sure you're putting yourself first in every way. All right. This is Ken the Don. Yes. Yeah.
last thing, as you saying that, I just want to finish up, I cap off with this, is that it's not just about you.
Mm.
The heads, the leaders have 30% influence on those following their lead. It's not about you. If you want this to stick, solidify, make this about your son, your daughter, your marriage, your wife. Make it bigger than them. They are reflecting us as the head, as we're called to be. So you want longevity? Make this bigger than you. Make it kingdom. I'll leave it at that.
Listen, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And this is why we're here. We're definitely going to have to come on again and really break this down. I didn't want to overwhelm the people too much today, but I know there's more that we can unpack here. So this is going to definitely have to be a part 2 soon. And I'm excited for that. All right, you guys, go ahead, like, subscribe, share this with family and friend. Like I said, this is Ken the Don. We're going to go ahead and get up out of here. I'm excited for our first things first. Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin. I really do appreciate you coming on.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a blessing. Thank you.
All right, you guys, we're out of here. Peace.